This is Stories from the Hackery, a podcast about the students, alumni, and community members that continue to shape Nashville Software School. Nashville Software School is the nation's first nonprofit coding bootcamp where a person with aptitude and motivation can gain the skills needed for a career in tech. For more information, visit us at NashvilleSoftwareSchool.com.
Welcome back to Stories from the Hackery. I am Mandy Arola with Nashville Software School, and I am fortunate to work with our graduates to help them tell their stories from when they decided to go through bootcamp, their experience in bootcamp, and all the way to that very first job in tech. Today, I'm excited to be joined by one of our software development and data engineering grads, Michael Galo. Michael, welcome to Stories from the Hackery.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So you were a graduate of Web Development Cohort 71, which graduated in the fall of 2024. And then you were able to take one of our ProTech classes, which is data engineering, a brand new bootcamp that we launched last year, and graduated from that program this past fall. So we'll have a chance to touch on both those programs and your journey through NSS. But let's go ahead and get started by talking about what were you doing before NSS and what got that idea started to make a transition into tech?
Yeah, so I have had anything but a linear career trajectory, though who does these days? So prior, I was working in photo production, marketing, and communications for a nonprofit here in town. And that kind of stemmed off of just had a photo business that it was a side hustle, then it turned into a business, and then it turned into a full-time thing, and kind of fell backwards into that career path instead of choosing it intentionally, and landed more in the marketing space. And after about a decade in that space, I decided I wanted to maybe make a switch, something that would be maybe a little bit more of a personality fit for me, something that I could tinker at a technical level. And I had accomplished some of the goals that I had set out in that career path. And so I had enough friends and regulars at the coffee house I was working at that had gone through NSS. There was just one too many one day, and I was like, all right, that's it. My turn. So that's what got me started.
Yeah, I love that. We hear so often from alumni that they heard about NSS from other alumni and sometimes even chance encounters. So the coffee shop is definitely a place where a lot of NSS alumni hang out all over town in different coffee shops. So that's very cool. And how did you then decide which avenue to go? We have a couple different career paths. What drew you towards software development?
Well, for one, I had a close friend of mine who had gone through it and who had sung its praises. I knew it was at least, I don't know if I believe software development's the longest running. So it's kind of the flagship that I knew about. When I had originally looked at NSS way back in 2017, I remember looking at it, and then a bunch of new programs got added. And I was like, well, I don't really know enough in the space. I just want to go through, I want to be like taken care of. And that seemed to be the one that was the most honed over the years. And I chose to do it with the Python as well for the backend, because I had heard that it might be a little bit more forgiving, and I needed all the help that I could get. And so it's not until midway through that program, or maybe all the way after it, that I really knew about maybe other trajectories within all the various tech fields that NSS offers.
Yeah. Well, and even once you pick a bootcamp path, there's so many different kinds of jobs that you can pursue with that base skill set, whether it's in software development or data analytics. And you're right, the software development program was our very first program all the way back in 2012. So it has definitely been around the longest. It has seen lots of students go through and become developers and be successful. So going through the bootcamp, our full-time program for web development is 6 months long. So it's a pretty condensed period of time, although it is longer than other full stack programs that are out on the market. At some point, every student faces some challenges and faces some things in bootcamp that they have to get over. And that's the nature of a bootcamp and learning to be a software developer. No matter how you learn to be a software developer, there's always going to be some of those challenges. So was there any point in bootcamp that you found that was a particular point of challenge for you, where after you came through that challenge, you had that reward feeling?
The capstones for sure are challenging. they're supposed to be. It's where you put all of the various elements together into a cohesive story and a product. And I think that honestly, like demo day and the mock interviews, when you're through the program, there's a lot of imposter syndrome. Speaking for myself, I had a lot of self-doubt, even having gone through it. And after going through those and getting some good feedback on it, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in a better position than I thought I was. And maybe I can get into this field. And so it's a lot of pressure. You do drink from a fire hose, but at the end of it, on the other side, it's awesome. So glad I did it.
Yeah, the capstones of pulling it all together, everything that you've spent 3 months learning. So we have the 2 capstones at halfway through and then at the very end. And so you're tying all those pieces together into one application. And then I love what you had to say about mock interviews and demo day, because now you have to be able to talk about what you built. It's not just being able to build it, but it's so important on the job search and even on the job to be able to talk about why you built what you did and the way that you chose to build it, and talk through the code shows your understanding. And so those are definitely challenging times for when you're first learning, and it's good experience to have a safe space to practice those skills. And it's something that we love to have as a part of our program, and are so thankful for all the volunteers in the community who support and come to do the mock interviews and come to demo day and give everyone a chance to showcase their skills.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talk a lot about at NSS is building this community around all of our students. How did that help in your learning process as you were going through the programs?
Yeah, that's hugely important. Development of all of its stripes and flavors is a team sport. This is not a place for lone wolves. And so the culture that's around you, whether it's the instructors, fellow students, professionals that you might meet, having a solid community around you it's like any job. The culture, the people around you, it makes or breaks the experience. And so it was great. And then from a group project standpoint, that's like the secret sauce that NSS can offer when you're competing for jobs right now. Having the ability to talk about Git workflow and GitHub and working on group projects and knowing how to communicate between various team members of different personalities, that's as important as solving the problems in the code, because nothing gets shipped unless you can overcome that. So if you can make great community around you, which NSS has great instructors and tends to attract people who are really motivated, you can go far with that combination.
So after you graduated from the software development bootcamp, you jumped into another bootcamp, data engineering. And data engineering, for those listening, is a part of our ProTech program. And ProTech is a program that we created to offer free continuing education classes to Middle Tennessee residents who are searching for their first or their next job in tech. And this program is partially funded by a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. So having this opportunity for our graduates who are still searching for their job, as well as community members to take additional coursework while they're searching, maybe they had a layoff or are getting back into the tech space, has been a great asset to the Nashville community. And so I wanted to ask you, Michael, you had gone through the full stack program. And so what was it about data engineering that interested you enough to jump into another boot camp, another full-time program?
Sure. Well, I think with any boot camp, there's lots of factors. It's not just the one thing. So I think just during the time that I was job searching, part of it was wanting to have something else on my resume to show employers, hey, I'm still trying to learn, trying to specialize. But beyond that, with the web development boot camp that I went through, it was a fantastic foundation. But there's only so much you can cover in 6 months, even in a boot camp style. And so having the opportunity to lean further back to the back end of the stack towards backend engineering, learn more about Python away from just writing some APIs, learning data architecture, all these things they were just, I think all of development is tugging on a curiosity. And so it was just one more curiosity. And so I had the fortunate position to be able to say yes to another full-time program. Not everybody would be able to do that, especially with the fact that it was free for the applicants. Is a huge incentive. And so it was, yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. I wish I could have said yes to all of the programs. They just conflicted. So this was one that I was like, let's do it. Let's jump in. And it turned out that actually specialization is something that I love. And I've always been kind of a fan of evidence-based things or research-based decisions. And so being able to now work on things that have a direct impact on the facts that a business uses and creating database decisions, that was really attractive to me.
So how did those additional skills help supplement what you learned? You talked a little bit about going deeper into the back end. Did you find it to be a good tie-in into between the two programs?
Definitely, especially since I had gone through a Python cohort beforehand. It was basically just picking that up and running in that direction. I learned a ton, just full stop, but we experimented with a ton of new technologies, various database software, learned more about architectural design away from just how do you solve this problem, this keeping the scope right here, to let's expand this out and really look at, like, if we were to implement a whole cloth new design architecture for our business, what will we do? Why? It's less of how do you solve the problem, but which solutions are correct for this problem. You could solve it with any one of these, but which one's the right one? Mm-hmm. So being able to learn some of those skills and to step back a little bit more just makes you a more valuable junior or first developer or re-entry developer. And so, yeah, it supplemented those skills. Like I said, the first one was an incredible foundation. This was just like a specialization.
I think that's really cool that you took the chance on this might be a great way to go and really enjoyed it. And so taking an additional course, you said, gave you that further specialization. Did that help you in your targeting for your job search, or as you were out there exploring what type of roles that you wanted to apply for?
Without a doubt. This program helped me get even more job ready. Part of it was just the fact that there was another year of development under my belt. And so that's just, you gain some more competence, you gain some more confidence. It also helped me target roles that I wasn't even looking at before. I went from looking as a software engineer or software developer. There is a broad swath of jobs out there, but there's just such a huge field. You don't know what all there even is sometimes. And so I hadn't even looked at data engineering jobs prior. And then after going through this program, I saw them sprouting out everywhere, and having a little bit more of a hands-on education in that. A lot of people are having to flex into those roles from, like, for instance, like the first bootcamp I was in, and having to learn on the job and quickly, and having a little bit more of a kind of an education around it and some experience with it definitely made it easier to target those roles and get some chances, some interviews, or just some conversations with people.
Yeah. And one of the reasons we launched this data engineering program is because we were seeing a rise in available jobs and hearing from employers that they were having a hard time finding folks to fill these roles. We also had alumni who had transitioned from both software development and data analysis into these type of roles. And so you talked about the job search piece of that and being able to target a little bit your search. How did our career development team help you along the way? Because we spend a lot of time in the boot camp learning the skills, but we also spend a lot of time with the career development team learning how to search for jobs and learning how to interview and working on resumes and LinkedIn and all those things that are so crucial towards your job search. So how is all of that helping you in preparing for your job search?
Yeah, career dev has an impossible task in front of them. It's a hard market and there's no silver bullet. So they try to do everything that they can to get us prepared as best we can. I think that one of the things that stuck out to me personally was their emphasis on not how to just present yourself on LinkedIn or write the right description or something like that, but offering workshops on using this like a super user, learning how to tap into NSS's existing network, showing how to seek out referrals properly. None of my job searching progressed unless there was a referral, just from my experience. And so knowing how to target some of those things a little bit more strategically than just cold applying to every easy apply job you can see was very helpful. And I presented my capstone for data engineering to both now my team lead and my now boss at demo day. And that's put together through career dev. And so I wouldn't be where I am right now without career dev.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're hugely important.
Yeah. I love hearing when the synergies match at demo day or in mock interviews, because it's never a guarantee. And not all of our
Right.
volunteers who come to those events are actively hiring. So it's awesome when everything aligns and they actually do hire from one of those events, or at least start the process from one of those events. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
If you were talking with somebody who's still on the job search, what would be the biggest piece of advice that you took away either from NSS or that you learned through your job search that you would encourage someone else who's still in that search mode?
I would say to be intentional about surrounding yourself with your classmates during this time. Unemployment and being on the job hunt is incredibly isolating as it is already. Don't make it any harder on yourself. One of the things that I tried to do was telling my classmates, for anyone who wanted to come, like, hey, I'm going to be in the Hackery from X time to Y time every weekday, and you can show up or you don't have to, but regardless, I'm going to be there. And trying to lay some kind of consistent foundation for your classmates, or just banding together, or it's really important because you are going to need to be mentally tough during this time. You're going to need people to support you. Everyone gets help, so don't let pride or fear keep you from surrounding yourself with your people.
Yeah, I love that you took initiative to be in the Hackery, which is on a Zoom here at NSS, and inviting your cohort in. I think that's such a great idea. It is very important to
talking
to have
about
that
networking
community.
events you'll go to together,
Yeah. So great. Yeah. It's always so much easier to go to those networking events when you know somebody else who's going to be there.
100%.
Pair up and tackle the room. As we wrap up, what would you tell someone who is thinking about coming to NSS, but they're on the fence and wondering if the training is worth the investment? We know the job market is not as great as it was several years ago. So if they're thinking about making that leap into software development or then eventually into data engineering, what advice would you give them as they're thinking about that decision?
Yeah, it's a hard choice to make. So I can totally understand why somebody would kind of be weighing that. I'll just kind of put this here for whatever it's worth. I had a 4-year college degree that never got me a job. It was 10x more expensive in the grand scheme of your life, a few months or even years, depending on part-time, full-time, depending on how long the job search takes afterwards. It's a blip over the course of your life. It's a flash in the pan. And so I would say, if this is something you really want to do, this investment can radically alter your quality of life and your job satisfaction. So bet on yourself. Take a risk. It was hard for me to make that choice. And so I got some encouragement from some people to invest in myself. And I am so thankful I listened to them, because it's hard to also, if you're in the middle of it, it's hard to have taken that leap and not have landed yet. Take it from me, when you land, it will be worth it.
That's such a good perspective on the time that it takes to go through a program like this. So many of our students are career changers. They've already had a career. They're shifting into something new, which is scary on its own. And then for those that have spouses and family to support and all the other adult life things that come with it. So all these adult decisions have to come into play as well, which I think is why it feels so hard to make a decision. But it really is such a small period of your life. And if it is something you want to do, it is better to get started now than to continue to wait until the perfect moment, because you don't know what the job opportunities will be when you finish. So I think that's great advice to kind of look at that time from that perspective. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
All right. Are there any final thoughts that we didn't get a chance to touch on that you would like to share?
I would just say that I've had the experience of going through kind of both sides of a specific coin. I've gone through and had the heartbreak of not finding a job and getting a second chance and eventually I know how it feels to be in a lot of the different ups and downs that going through a risk like this can take. And it is worth it. Keep at it if you're still seeking. I know it's tough, but for me, I would suggest switch your mindset from I can't imagine finding a job in this environment to I am going to bust the wall down like the Kool-Aid man if I have to in order to open a door. Like, just do everything you possibly can. It is going to, there are jobs. They're not as many, maybe. It's not as easy. They're there, and people are looking for more talent. So don't give up on yourself.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights, sharing your experience. We all have to go bust through the walls. I love that analogy. So yeah, knock down those doors, be networking and all that will help you get your foot in those doors with employers and hiring managers. So that's great advice. Well, thanks again, Michael, for joining us today. And thank you everyone for listening. You can discover more alumni stories like these when you visit NashvilleSoftwareSchool.com.